So welcome to the big Premiership review show, round 3, and looking at the table we can see that Saracens are the only unbeaten team on 15 points, and Bristol, beating their West Country rivals Bath, jump up to second. At the bottom, only 2 teams without a win, another painful loss to Exeter there against Saracens. Newcastle, probably more unsurprisingly, without a win, but no bonus points at all, so they're on the big fat bagel. I'm going to go through every single match as I go through my mission to try and watch every minute of Premiership rugby, building up to these November internationals to start with, so I can be as informed as possible when I form my England watch list. Who's looking good? Of course, we've had one training squad announced already, and I think next week we're going to get the final thing. But let's start with Northampton versus Harlequins. The champions Northampton, a really close win at home, 33-29, could definitely have gone either way. Quins are going to be gutted, but that's just the nature of the Premiership. I think it's really only Newcastle that are looking like they can't win a game. Everything else is going to be pretty close. And after 15 minutes, it's 7-all. 2 heavy muscle-over tries for each side. Wider out, it's probably Quins who are looking more likely to score. Will Joseph is back and fit, and he's looking really quick. He's probably a bit more powerful than his brother was, Jonathan Joseph. Maybe he doesn't quite have the footwork Jonathan Joseph had, but yeah, he's a little bit more robust, and he's going to come into the England picture at some point. Not yet, I don't think. Nothing to say he has to be in the squad straight away, but we do need 13s, as we do 12s. We need centres full stop, and Anyanwu had another good game. He's had to come in and replace Andre Esterhazen, and he's doing a good job showing his power, bursting through some tackles early on, but just held up over the line. Indeed, Quins do score though on the next play. Simple wide ball off a maul, and Marcus Smith is starting at 15, showing his versatility and really good footwork, stepping Freeman to score. Is he a starting option for England at 15? Possibly in some games when he wants to do a lot of counter-attacking. Is he going to be the guy who stops someone dead with a big tackle? Probably not, but definitely useful for his versatility. But to be fair to Saints, they hit straight back with a simple but pretty brilliant play from the man George Furbank. He is such a great player, their captain of course this season. He just wraps around from open to blind, and Quins just don't fold in response, and Furbank frees his hands, gets the offload. Slightholme had a bit of a jog in, but Slightholme looked really good in this game. He looks back to his best, so that's good news for England. 14-all after 22 minutes. It's a cracker. Quins hit straight back with a beauty of a team try. Anyanwu is the man again, smashing up the middle and then just quick round the corner. Jared Evans, really inventive lob over the top to Marcus Smith, showing his pace this time, gassing the cover defence to scoot in the corner. 14-19 to Harlequins. Before half-time, a couple of drops, a couple of penalties given away from Quins, let Saints into a great position to score, and Langdon does what he does, which is throw the ball nice and accurately, wrap around the back of the line out on appeal really quick, but he gets stopped, absolutely ended by Finn Baxter. He's looking the real deal, is Finn Baxter. He's going straight on the England watch list. His scrums look good, his tackles look good, he's got lovely hands as well. He's the real deal, and we need those props, of course. And Marcus Smith does well to defuse a crossfield bomb, so there is no score. It's 14-22 at half-time. There was one penalty goal to Harlequins in there as well. Just after half-time, one of the Saints midfielders, Dingwall or Hutchinson, I didn't quite catch it. I mean, those two both played very tidily today. They set Saints into a fast attacking phase of play. Really good clear-outs, quick ball, looking a lot better in the second half. Slightholme gets a bit of a clobber on the head in the act of scoring. That is a yellow card to David, so penalty try. So 21-22, they're just 1 point behind, but they are a team transform for sure. So much quicker. Hutchinson hits and spins and makes 40 metres up the right-hand touchline. Such a good game from him. He's surely going to get more Scotland caps, you would hope. Good face play again, and Yogan is over but held up. And towards the end of that yellow card period, they do finally get their peak of flow going. And what's great about Northampton is they can slot into these attacking shapes off the cuff, doesn't have to be set piece, and it just gets too much for the opposition, even if they defend well. This was the case, unstoppable, and Graham eventually goes over. Definitely the best attack we've seen from Northampton, and it is the sort of thing that took them to the Premiership final. So that's good for them. 28-22. On 59 minutes, we see those lovely hands from Baxter as he puts Kenningham through a hole. Kenningham played really well in this game. I'm putting him on the England watch list, but there's just so many players ahead of him. I don't think he's going to climb up much more, but it was a good game for him. very physical, very hard working. Anyway, Dingwall jackals and just saves the game, and that's really how close this game was. It could have gone either way. But then a few minutes later, Saints put the nail in the coffin, and it's so simple, probably too simple. A half break from Furbank, he is just the man. He pops off the floor to Slightholme, who canters in, but really the Quins' defence was sleeping. Dylan Lewis, who should have been fresh, just coming on, he can just walk across and barely get near Slightholme. And also Jared Evans gets sucked into Furbank, who's on the floor and out of the game really. So that was pretty bad. So Quins will definitely rue that one. A bit too easy, but brilliance from Furbank again. 33-22. And that's really the game right there. A couple of other things to note. We had young Henry Pollock on for his first senior appearance this season. He will come into England reckoning at some point in the years to come. Far too much competition right now, but he plays well, gets some turnovers. He's looking like he can deal with that senior physicality. Then Marcus Smith as well, I've put a note here, putting some good tactical kicks in from 15, which is what he needs to do. He did do one of his running into a blind alley sort of thing when he went sideways across the pitch and got his team into big trouble. So that is something in his locker which he needs to get out of. A difficult balance when you are an attacking player. Quinn seems to be building really well from another good break from Marcus Smith, but Lewis just drops it cold and ruins a good chance. Even so, Quins are finishing the game pretty strong. We got sub-hooker Jabulu on, the youngster. He's so sharp, so dynamic compared to, say, Jack Walker, who is a bit more physical. But anyway, Henry Pollock shows up and does another jackal, so that's good for him and denies a sniff at a chance for the Quins. But they do get their try. A bit of magic from Jared Evans again. Little hitch kick and offload to Brayley. Flings it wildly in field, but it does bounce to Will Porter. 33-29. That's how it finishes. Really exciting game. Quins will be gutted, but really good win for Northampton. And they just about got into that attacking flow that was so good for them last season. Furbank's really good, injecting himself from fullback. So that's great for England for sure. So 33-29 on the England watch list. Finn Baxter, great all-round performance. Jack Kenningham. Tom Pearson, who was just a physical beast all game. If he keeps his game clean, he is the best athlete we have in the back row. Marcus Smith, Ollie Slightholme and George Furbank. So quite a lot of standouts from that game for me for England. Then on to Sale versus Gloucester and another close win for the home side, 31-27. But Gloucester are unrecognisable from their traditional forward style game. They are throwing the ball around all over the place. Not quite working at the moment, but they are dangerous. The likes of Zach Mercer is absolute key to that. Unlocking the defence again and again. Thomas Williams, the new captain, is a fantastic player in attack, and his box kicks were great. He had a brilliant try, that is for sure. And the first try comes from that attacking sort of play. Wade out wide, drawing two players really nicely. Clement, a lovely flip out the back of his hand. And Thomas Williams has a lot to do, but he turns Roebuck inside out. Top finish, top try. Definitely not like the old Cherry and Whites, that's for sure. So that was 0-5. Now, I've been going on about Thomas Williams being such a signing for Gloucester, but one guy who is not working out for me is Gareth Anscombe. When he takes the ball to the line, he's just so much slower than he used to be. Quite a few mistakes as well. So I think that's a bit of an issue. And Charlie Atkinson, the backup 10 when he came on, did not look like he was moving freely at all. So that's not great. We'll see what they can do at 10. Anyway, the magic man for Sale, though, is Aaron Reid. What an unbelievable game this guy had. Sale in many ways were just fairly basic, but when they give the ball to Aaron Reid, he makes the magic happen. So on 17 minutes, he does just that, winning a kick chase battle, then a clean inside break and another half break in the same play. Amazing stuff from Roebuck's there to finish, but goodness me, it is all Aaron Reid. Scotland just have to get him on the wing and start him. He is so quick. An unbelievable player. A new Darcy Graham, shall we say. But for the next 15 minutes, it's Gloucester who dominate the possession, and they do have a lot of good possession, flinging the ball all over the place. Big long looping passes to try and get outside the Sale rush defence, but they can't make anything stick. Anscombe's dropping a lot of ball as well, which isn't helping. On 33 minutes, kind of against the run of play, McIntyre and Younger Poco Fajor on the tight head get a big scrum penalty. They go to a 5-metre maul, but Van Rijn is sloppy to block the setup. That could have been a try, but they do get their try before half-time. Nice and simple, really well executed. Launch play from Sale on halfway. Bedlow bashes it up. Then there's two inside runners for Dupree, and Roebuck's one of them, and he's clean through. So really efficient stuff for them, and they have a half-time lead of 14-8. And just after half-time, Sale get another one. The winning of the game probably right there. 7 minutes of good possession. The team is ridiculous in its simplicity. Decent phases, not a lot happening until you give it to Aaron Reid. He tries to make something happen on 47 minutes, single-handedly makes the try for Roebuck. The Sale maul is going nowhere, then they simply pull behind to Aaron Reid and he just outraces Max Llewellyn to give the outside arc 2-on-1. Fantastic stuff. Reid is box office. 19-8. And Gloucester all flips and tricks, but just not making the gain line, so it's not as efficient as Sale. They're doing the Route 1 carries a Sale. Forwards like a Route. He's absolutely massive. The biggest head and torso I've seen on a guy. Looks like he's got the wrong legs on. Just an absolute unit, these South Africans. And Thomas Williams on 57 minutes here does an amazing wrap round off a scrum. The ball bobbles around and Charlie Atkinson chips ahead, but it's not the best kick. Williams is there though, good pace, dribbles it along and finishes it. So that is 19-15. They're back in it. Then on 62 minutes, a big rolling maul from Sale and Cowan-Dickey goes over. And you have to say Cowan-Dickey had a brilliant all-round game. He finally looks completely fit. I had questioned his place in the England squad when it was announced, but this was the best game I've seen him play for years. And his rucking, his counter-rucking, probably the most eye-catching part of his game. So well done him. He goes on the watch list. Zach Mercer, he's also on the list, just a phenomenal player. The guy who's trying to make it happen for Gloucester, but it's not quite happening. Will he play for England again? I don't think so, because he's moving to France to play, but he's got to go on the list as well, because another really good game. And guess what? On 71 minutes, it's a set piece, put the ball in Aaron Reid's hands, and he gets the offload. Cowan-Dickey scores. It's the Aaron Reid show. So that was 31-15. And Gloucester, they're all flash, but it can work sometimes. An Anscombe crossfield kick to Llewellyn does really well, and Englefield finishes. So 31-20. And then finally, what a finish. Sale in the scoring position, but Charlie Atkinson intercepts. He has to go the length of the pitch, but he does have a 20-metre start. And for a quick back like Atkinson, he should really score this, but something's up with him. His legs turn to jelly. He trips himself up. He runs out of gas so much, and Reid gets him. So that's kind of fitting. Although Llewellyn does score eventually, it's not enough. There's not enough time. So 31-27. Gloucester a little bit too wild, but there's points there. There are wins there. But great win for Sale, they'll be delighted. And on that England watch list, Luke Cowan-Dickey, Zach Mercer. So on to game 3, and it's Bath versus Bristol, 26-36. Bristol take another away scalp in Bath, a really exciting West Country derby. And I think Bath are going to be gutted that they were just a bit dozy at times in defence, because Bristol are so quick. You've got to be on your game, and they weren't in defence. In the opening minutes, they're just not quick enough to react to a quick free kick, and they leave 4 on one side, marking one person. Everyone else from Bristol sweeps across. I think it's to Bristol's left, and Ibitoy hits the killer line and gets the offload, and Malin scores. He cannot stop scoring for Bristol. What a great start, 0-7, but Bath do level it up on 11 minutes, and oh my god, it's an amazing counter-attack by young fullback Sam Harris. He feels a clearance kick. Ibitoy is the chaser, the furthest up chaser, and it's a horrible shirt grab tackle from Ibitoy. That is the reason why some people say he shouldn't play for England. He's got better, but that's just a reminder that it's still in the locker. That was horrible, and the rest of the Bristol chase was all over the place, no flat line at all. Then Harris goes all the way, so brilliant from Harris. 7-all there. And also a little note I made on this game, Harry Randall actually got to show some of his box kicking skills, because Borthwick's going to be watching that. The rest of his game's amazing, but he did some really good box kicks in this first half, clearing the ball when normally Bristol just run absolutely everything. So that's really good to see. On 18 minutes, we get the next Bristol try, and it's an absolute cracker again. They've been waiting to get the Puma Grondona on the pitch, and he is absolute class. He slices clean through to score, steps Harris to score. On closer inspection, I think you see Ted Hill actually commits too hard to Luatua's dummy line, but it's still a really good attacking play. Santi Grondona with the try, 7-14. Then around 20 minutes is a battle of the muscle. Bath get a spell with some tight play in the Bristol 22 and get repelled. Bristol get the same chance. They get a maul going. big centre Van Rensburg hits a massive straight line to smash through for the try. 7-19, that was a big swing because Bath could have scored, and then Bristol went 12 points ahead. And it's Bristol who finished the half really strong. Bath again, masters of their own downfall in some ways as they put the ball to ground in their build-up play, but plays it on the ground, gets penalised, and Bristol camping the Bath 22 for a long time. Lots of mauls, lots of scrums. Good to see Ellis Genge holding up well versus Thomas Dutoy. That's a good sign for England. But Bath are conceding penalties, one sloppy one from Ted Hill, just lying on the ball, and it's Van Rensburg again piling through Lawrence this time. I mean, a good reason why maybe Lawrence should be playing 13, not 12, because for England, if he plays 12, he's going to have more big men running at him. Van Rensburg will be England qualified, but not yet. He would have been on the list for sure. It's Gondona again, hitting the big line between Urbano and Butt. Bath tackling just not good enough, and they score again for a bonus point try before half-time, 7-26. Now after half-time, Bath batter away at Bristol's line. Multiple penalties, yellow card to Gondona. Looks like they're going to score, and they do through Pepper, but the TMO spots a knock-on. Their pressure does finally tell on 56 minutes, as 40-man Bristol are caught short out wide, and Russell fires a really nice long pass for Will Butt to dive in very acrobatically, so they get one back there, 14-29. Now Bath are playing with a 6-2 split here. They've got some big boys on the bench. Again, Coetzee coming on, the big South African back row, wearing the 23 shirt. He is not a winger. He's got a big impact once again. Underhill coming off the bench is useful, although he gets a yellow card later. And it's those big forwards that make the dents, get Bath going forward, and the big Bristol second row done just too slow to get out to Finn Russell, who dummies, scorches 20 metres and gets the final offload to a big fresh man, Ross Maloney, another big forward coming off the bench for Bath for another try, 19-29. And part of the reason why I think Bath are going to be a top four side, they've just got a lot of forward strength on the bench. So that's 2 tries in the yellow card period for Bath, but then it unravels as McGinty plays a lovely little loop play and a break, who has to be slowed up illegally by Underhill, so he cops a yellow. Perfect 5-metre maul. Ogray is over, puts the nail in the coffin, 21-34. And it's Bristol's turn to try and make the extra man tell, putting Bath in all sorts of problems. Van Rensburg, Ogray's all over the place in attack. They can't make it stick though. Now Bath get back to 15 men, and for the 10 minutes they're in the ascendancy, but it's very messy. Eventually there is a consolation try, as Ollie Lawrence does pretty well to evade a scrambling Rich Lane. So Bath actually get a bonus point for tries, but no losing bonus point, and it's an absolute thrilling West Country derby. Only 2 players I think on the England list for me there. Ogray, Gabriel Ogray, the hooker for Bristol, is absolutely everywhere. He's not massive, but my God, he's so good, so explosive. His line-out throwing is good. He could be one for the future. Of course, he went on the summer tour. And Guy Pepper, he's got to be in that squad at some point. Lightning quick around the park, in attack and defence on the Jackal. Just looks like an out-and-out 7. Then on to Newcastle 10, Leicester 42. Last week I thought Newcastle looked pretty good, although losing to Harlequins, but they were outclassed here again. Not good enough, unfortunately. From 0 to 25 minutes, it has to be said, it was pretty boring stuff. Leicester doing some basics, some mauling, some one-out carries. Pretty effective, then winging it wide for 2 easy scores, to be honest. Anthony Watson, a classic hitch kick and handoff, showing he is back, although I'm not putting him on the England list just yet. I'm not quite sure he's got that killer pace he once had, but I mean, that was a good stop and go, so maybe he does, let me know. Although not for the first time, the fullback for Newcastle, Opetiembo, just not quite good enough with his tackle technique, too high up, pretty painful to be honest. And the Newcastle crowd is pretty quiet, probably because there's not a lot to shout about. I mean, the match announcer has to try to periodically whip up some atmosphere, which is a bit painful as well. I have referred back to that article from Kieran Bracken saying he thought that Newcastle would climb the table, but at the time I said I'm not sure they will, and there's definitely no chance they will based on this sort of performance. Maybe they'll get a win, but they're going to be bottom, and it's going to be exciting because they're going to be in a relegation playoff against someone like Ealing Trailfinders or Doncaster maybe. That's going to be quite exciting. Anyway, on half an hour, to be fair to Newcastle, they're the ones trying to offload. They're playing the more attractive rugby, but it's just not really going anywhere. Ethan Grayson slicing a nasty shot at goal wide. Then a few minutes later, Grayson takes his eyes off a simple pass and Martin gets a Jackal, then putting a grubber straight into touch. So not a great game for Grayson. Obatiembu, Grayson, they've got talent, of course, but they wouldn't start for any other Premiership side. I think that's kind of fair to say. So part of the reason they just don't quite have the personnel to dominate sides to get those wins. Like I said, maybe they will get one, but I just cannot see them getting above the foot of the table. Now, it takes until the clock's in the red before half-time for Leicester to get into some decent attacking flow. Jack Van Portfleet is looking very, very sharp for sure. Hassel Collins makes good ground on an inside ball, and then Jack Van Portfleet reverses the play, and Chesham shows amazing strength to make big meters up the left-hand side. And then Ilioni, who's former England under-20s, he's a strong, powerful number 6 one to watch, and Martin offer big lines. Grayson picks the wrong one and Ilioni crashes over. So yeah, Ilioni, one to watch, not on the watch list, yes, but 22 years old, powerful blindside. Keep your eyes on him, but that's the score just before half-time. On 42 minutes, we get a bit of a killer blow from the Tigers there. Oh, a lovely one-handed line-out take from Ollie Chesham, and the backs do all the hard yards. It's Parise, Joe Woodward, who looked pretty good actually, one to watch, Freddie Stewart, all carrying really hard, and Woodward gets the offloading contact really well for Stewart to score. Both Woodward and Stewart played really well. I'm not putting them on the England list because I don't think Leicester played that amazing game. But anyway, bonus point already, 3:25. Shilcock's goal kicking, not very good in this game, a bit all over the place. On 49 minutes, Newcastle do get the try. Jamie Blamire showing some real speed in attack, great footwork. It spoils a bit of him earlier on, but anyway, he takes a big tap-and-go penalty, and Callum Cheek from close range smashes over. So that's 10:25, so that's something there. But they're kicking the ball straight to Freddie Stewart. He's looking really, really comfortable. Then another horrible Shilcock penalty attempt at goal goes wide. They need to think about their goal kicker, that's for sure. Pollard coming back maybe will help that. But anyway, yeah, after praising Blamire, he gives away a soft interception, and in his desperation to get back, he puts a high shot on Parisi, yellow card, and Martin grinds over from the maul for a try. So 10-30, two-man advantage. Blamire's pretty much killed any hope for Newcastle. But we do get 2 more Leicester tries before the end. The 6th try is a brilliant interception from Will Wand, absolute magic there. Poor pass from the Falcons, replacement scrum half Joe Davis, it has to be said. And then comfortable win, capped off. Ben Youngers off the bench. Nice line off his shoulder from Hanro Lieberberg. Smashes over. 10:42, Volavolla's on, goal kicking, and it's just as bad as Shilcock. So yeah, that's a bit of a horror for them, but it's a very safe win. Then on to the final game, Saracens 29, Exeter 14. Disappointing loss for Exeter because they made a lot of mistakes, could have made this a lot more competitive. Saracens did what they needed to do in the first half. For about 20 minutes, it was pretty much a battle of defences, both sides going at it until Roots goes off his feet and Fergus Burke puts a massive long penalty kick to touch to 5 metres out. They maul over nice and easily, roll round the back, really slick for a Jamie George try, 5-0. Fergus Burke, he is England qualified. I wouldn't say he's screaming to be picked just yet, but definitely one to watch. Now, Exeter nearly score straight back from a spilled high ball if it wasn't for Ben Earl getting back on his goal line super quick and smashing back Hammersley's pick and go. That was impressive. Earl was absolutely amazing. He gets a jackal straight after as well. Top class from him whole game. And then we see a classic swing from Exeter nearly scoring themselves. On the next play, Tobias Elliott picks up a bobbling ball. It's just a standing start. Nothing's really on, but he absolutely roasts Hammersley, who's in a good defensive position, so that's a bit embarrassing. And he steps Hodge for an absolute blinder of a try. This guy is absolute magic. He looks like he's got pretty much everything. He's got the build, he's got the speed. Skills look pretty good. He's definitely on the England watch list. Would love to see him in the squad, at least training, maybe playing the Japan game, something like that. But a bit of a mistake not to have him in, I think. Someone who's not in this game is Maro Itoje sitting out, and I did think at this point, on his new enhanced hybrid contract, have the England medical team made a play to not have him involved in this one? Love to know. But in this first half, Exeter are just full of errors, too many missed tackles. On 27 minutes, Hawkins drops the ball cold from a good attack, and it's a more turnover, and you can just imagine Rob Baxter getting frustrated with this young team, full of talent, but just not delivering yet. Then more ominous signs for Exeter as their maul defence is splintered so easily once again, and Saracens go over for a Ben Earl try, 19-0. Exeter's only points in the first half comes from a bit of luck really. Hodge's low kick is blocked but falls into Woodburn's hands. He feeds Hodge, who shows amazing pace to score. I mean, Hodge is so exciting. I'm really willing him to do well. He's not consistent enough yet in his skills, in his tackling, but goodness me, he's got pace to burn. He's got a great kick, so it will come at some point, I'm sure. but Saracens wrap up the bonus point and pretty much the match before half-time. It's a simple wraparound play from open to blind, just really good hands from Lazowski, catches Maunder in no man's land defensively. Good hands from the big prop Carey, fields Elliott, and inside to Fergus Burke. Really slick. Exeter, though, not offering as much resistance as they should in defence. So it's 24-7 at half-time, and just after half-time, Hammersley's tough day gets worse with a yellow card, so not a great day for him. And then immediately the yellow card comes, Saracens get another try, and it's that man, Tobias Elliott, chasing a kick, winning it back versus Josh Hodge. They're scrambling to get into shape, but they can't. It goes into Elliott's hands once again, and he scorches down the right-hand side. Nearly butchers it, but gets the offload in time to Ben Earl, who's got winger pace to support him. He scores. Ben Earl's definitely on the England watch list, had a fantastic game. And like I said, Tobias Elliott is looking so good. Then the game goes into a period of pretty boring kick battles, loads of box kicks, loads of chasing, not a lot happening until a lovely 50-22 on a really tight angle from Josh Hodge. Again, does some really good stuff, but Exeter botched the line out. Baxter again would be spitting feathers at that one. They botch another line out a few minutes later, and that's kind of just blowing their final chances. They've got to be better executing, that's for sure. One thing that was decent was the scrum, and Greg Fizzelau bursting off the base is very exciting. He's super explosive, a bit like Ben Earl, but a little bit on the light side at the moment. We'll see if he can put on a bit more power. He may be a starter for England at some point, we'll see, but he's in the squad at the moment anyway. But like I said, the kick fest is a bit wearing, both sides cancelling each other out really, and there's no further scoring, although I think Exeter probably shaded the second half, but the damage was done in that first half. Another good win for Saracens. They march on, and Borthwick was watching this one live. On the England watch list, I would put Greg Fizzelau, Ben Earl and Tobias Elliott. So that's my roundup of round 3. Those are my guys on the England watch list. If you like these sorts of videos, please like, please subscribe. That would be awesome, and I'll catch you next time.